Welcome back, everyone. David, Denny, welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, just going to jump right in. When Garth was speaking there and he was mentioning the very slow year and flat year, I was thinking if it's hard for a company like them, how hard can it be how much more harder can it be for startups that don't have anywhere to start and don't have reserves and stuff like that. But again, I was thinking, how has it been for a company like ZOL and maybe Liquid as well, but Denny ZOL?
Yeah, it has been a tough year. I think like most companies, regardless of your size, we're all down below budget of what we had expected for the year. So it has been worse than we expected. We are, as you say, fortunate being big larger. We have a little bit more of a cushion to get through the harder times. So it has been a struggle for us as well. We're very lucky at Liquid and ZOL that we have quite a long event horizon to look at in terms of investment. We're spending a lot of money digging the ground now, installing fiber, and we expect to have that network in the ground for 20, 30 years at least. And so we're quite lucky that we don't have to look at short-term profits, because it would be a very, very difficult environment otherwise. But we are also fortunate that we have a very good foundation. We've been in the market for many, many years. And we do have a good, loyal customer base. And we are profitable. And we're very fortunate for that. So we're not growing as fast as we thought we were expecting to. But we're still doing all right. And we're very fortunate in that regard. And we do look forward to obviously improvements in the future. We're optimistic. Like all Zimbabweans, we're optimistic. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah. But when you're saying we, it's difficult to tell which we. Yeah? Who's we here? Is that Liquid? Is that
Liquid, ZOL, the whole group?
The whole group. Yeah.
I mean, Zimbabwe. You've got to remember that Liquid is a Zimbabwean company, fundamentally. All of our group executives are Zimbabwean in one way or another. Most of them were born here. Most of them grew up here. I think exactly the same goes for Econet and most of our group companies, as we are really a Zimbabwean company at heart.
Yeah. And I think it's not just me that wonders there how big, because every day there's Liquid has done this in Uganda, Liquid has done this in Kenya. They've bought this company, that much network. How big are those operations in terms of priority and stuff? 9 markets now it is in Africa, isn't it?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. How?
I think there's fiber in 7 countries, and then some services in another 2. In terms of we are still, majority of our business is still Zimbabwean.
Because of the big customer that is
because we have a very big customer base here, and we did start here, and we've got a very strong business in Zimbabwe. So we are obviously expanded outside, and we've in the last year obviously diluted a lot of what is coming from Zimbabwe, but we're still very, very heavily invested and reliant on Zimbabwe. It's a very important market for us.
It's a profitable market for you.
It's profitable,
compared
and it's
to
very
the other
important
ones?
to us.
Compared to the other ones?
Yeah, compared to the other ones. The other markets, it kind of varies country by country. There's a lot more competition, which makes it a lot more difficult. There's a lot more pressure on delivery of service. I think in Zimbabwe, it's a two-edged sword in Zimbabwe, because there is competition here, but I think we're faring very well against it in terms of the quality of the service that we're offering. We do have redundant circuits in Zimbabwe. We're one of the very few companies that do. But in the Zimbabwe market, the liquidity and the cash base and the customer side is very, very difficult. Whereas in other markets, Kenya, for example, there is a lot of money flying around.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly competitive.
It's incredibly competitive. Yeah. Companies like Zuku,
Safaricom, and there's a lot of.
And that's for current services, because in Zimbabwe, it's a really investment into fiber, like you said, digging the ground and stuff. And you are kind of one of the only company that people see doing that a lot now.
I believe we're the only company that builds fiber past homes on spec. In other words, we cover entire neighborhoods. Other companies are covering when they get a sale, they will run fiber down a road and try and sell along the road. But we made a decision to just simply build the entire neighborhood. So every single person in a neighborhood that we build has a fiber connection outside their gate, just waiting for that last mile or last yard, if you like, connection from the gate into the house.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's allowed us to do it at scale and to do it on a much more effective cost per house basis than building it ad hoc.
Without much competition in terms of expanding infrastructure at that pace.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, down most of the major roads in Harare, there's 3 or 4 fiber providers. So there's a lot of competition. But I think we've got a more cost-effective install base because we did it past every single house at once. We dug once.
And Denny, on the ISP side, because he's talking competition and this being a highly competitive market as much as the other markets, and selling internet is to consumers and business is also very highly competitive. How has, on the ZOL side, what do you think are the opportunities right now where ZOL is able to differentiate itself or is able to offer something where it can match with that with the competition not as stiff?
Actually, bring up that question. I was at a function on, there was a leadership summit this week on Wednesday. So I was just meeting and greeting people, and then one lady came to me and said, Danny, come I introduce you to one of your competitors. Then I looked and said, competition? We don't have competition. So I think the good thing for ZOL is our premise is one thing, we identify a need and we try to fulfill that need. And while we are trying to fulfill that need, we make money. So I think I think all companies should operate on that premise. Identify a need, fulfill it, and you make money. So that's how we look at it. I think if you look at the generation we have now, which I call the millennium generation, they've never known a world without internet. They've never known a world without wireless, Wi-Fi, So with that sense of entitlement, they are getting very much involved in dictating and directing what products or services we produce. It's unlike the old days where the government would just create something, shove it down your throat, and then you have to accept it. But now, these millennium consumers are increasingly involved in what products we come up with. Right now, you come up with a product that they don't like, you don't make money, you go out of business. So we have to be sensitive to our consumer needs, customer needs, and so forth. And that's what we're doing at ZOL. We realize that people want fiber, high-speed internet. Right? That's what they want. And we are providing it through fiber, and through what we call fibronics. At the same time, we're also realizing that we have different customer segments. Some prefer high-speed internet and they have money. Some still want high-speed, but they don't have money. So we are in the process, as we speak, of coming up with a strategy that sort of addresses the other sides of the market where they don't have enough money, but they also still want to stay connected. But we obviously can't do it at the same cost because we're in business, we have to make a profit. But at the same time, we want to make sure everyone is connected. So in this day and age, ZOL is very fortunate to be in this field. I always compare this to medicine. Everyone gets sick, they want a doctor. But now what we're realizing, we're even better than hospitals or doctors because even doctors want to get connected. So they still want to use our system. So we are in a field where even the president needs to get connected. So we are in a very unique field. And so competition, yes, it comes, but we compete on quality. But in terms of providing a need, I think we are in an industry that's future-proof.
Yeah, you mentioned that you're meeting a need. You'd love to meet a need, and that you're meeting it. But is it beyond doctors and presidents and stuff? Is it really being met in terms of fast internet? Because I appreciate that $89 is a really low price, but is that really low for the bulk of the people that want internet?
I think everybody wants internet, but we can't fulfill every want. We can fulfill a need. So I think at this rate, as you can tell, our country is going through a difficult economic cycle. which I think will come off out of it very soon. But at the moment, we're just trying to provide the best service we can at the rate we could. You know? Otherwise, if we give it away, then we'll be out of business and no one will be connected. So we're just trying to strike a balance. But as I said, we really want to make sure everyone who wants to be connected can do that.
Can do that.
That's what, right now, we're discussing putting ZOL hotspots everywhere, where people can have access. If you want to have access to internet, you must have access to it. It shouldn't be something that's only for the privileged few. We've passed that stage.
Yeah. A guy was in Tanzania, actually, Clinton, and he was saying he sat at a restaurant in Tanzania and he was having a Coke and there was free internet. And then he was surprised because he could do anything. There wasn't, this behavior is bad, this behavior is good, torrents are bad. And he was surprised because not only is that not possible here, I know it's possible because of the ZOL spots now. But to him it was, look, this whole new world where you can go to any place and just have free internet because you're buying a drink. I thought that was amazing. But I'd love to maybe do a quick check. We are not the poorest, I think, in Zim. By show of hands, how many are willing to pay $89 a month for internet? Or can afford to pay $89? At the highest speed possible. So depressed times, I guess.
Yeah.
Depressed times in terms of economics. I know I can't.
You can't work.
I can't afford it.
Right. Yet you're always on the internet.
Yes.
I mean, okay, I think there's a few people that can afford $89. But the person that I have, I've got internet at work, and I can buy data bundles. Why should I then pay $89 for my home internet? I think the challenge here is our ISPs are still thinking that we're backwards. They are not bundling with, they're not making it interesting. For me to pay $89, what is it coming with? What is it, just internet, or there's something else that I'm getting? If they can make it more more interesting, not just internet. Because really, if I want to connect, I can use my phone. Nearly everyone has a smartphone nowadays. So why should I pay $89 when, you was talking about a group, Econet is selling a data bundle for $1. So why should I then pay $89? It's not interesting enough.
Yeah.
We've made it interesting. If you look at our advert in the paper today, 5 reasons why you should get ZOL Fibronics. It's not just internet. You are getting a free phone with a phone number, VoIP, which works better than our regular phones that were being provided by the parastatal. So you get a free phone, and what we are trying to do with Fibronics, we're trying to create bundled services where you have a where you have internet, a phone, and TV. But we have not gotten to the third part. We are still working on it. But when it's complete, it's going to have 3 things: TV, internet, and phone. So for that, you get a lot of value for your money. So that's what we are doing. And also, the bundles you are comparing from Econet, those are different. Home, when you're at home, you can download your movies, you can watch YouTube, you can do a lot of stuff while you're at home. With that $1 bundle you buy from Econet, I don't think you can even get to WhatsApp for a few minutes.
I think his point is that you will always give something to Econet. No matter what, you always give something to Econet for data because you always want something when you're outside your house. You're getting something at work, you always want something when you're outside your house. The question is, if Econet is giving me $1 for Facebook and $1 for WhatsApp and $1 for now, what's that? For Opera Mini. I come back home and I say, should I pay $8 or $9, or I can just do all my video on Facebook and all my I start,
Yeah,
because of affordability,
Yeah,
under
but-
ideal circumstances, maybe I would. But
But when you look at it, that's why I was talking about ZOL Sports. Once you have your home account, $89, when you go outside, wherever there's a ZOL Sport, you can sign in. You don't have to pay a cent. You just log in with your password and you are connected. So that's the beauty of it.
I think they're very different. They're very different services, mobile and fixed. Your mobile is, as you say, you're going to have it anyway for when you're out and about. But something like 80% of data is consumed either in the home or the office.
Environment.
Now, your Ethernet $1 bundle, I don't know at the top of my head the exact prices and deals, is not going to give you the volume of data you're going to need to do the kind of streaming, to watch video on demand, to do video conferencing. It's not there. It is a very limited service for certain applications. And if you start paying per gig to any of the mobile operators, you are paying a lot more money than a flat rate you're getting from an ISP like ZOL. But your fundamental point, I think, is correct, and it's something that we've recognized, which is why we're now bundling more. In fact, the Fibronics packages today, as Denny said, get bundled with a free phone, with completely free calling to anyone else on our network. It also gives you free international calling to five destinations at the moment: USA, UK, China, Hong Kong. There's a whole bunch of them. Depending on which package you're on, you can get up to 4 hours free international calling on that phone. And outside of your bundle, you get very, very competitive international call rates. You're going to see us bundling more and more voice services with our packages as well. As Denny alluded to, there will be video on demand coming in the future. There'll be all the services that, this is not new, innovative things that we've only thought up here in Zimbabwe. If you look at the rest of the world, there's a lot of triple play, there's quad play, and there are more and more things that are getting bundled with it. And that is definitely the direction that we obviously going to be going in, so that it will be more value to you.
More exciting.
And when is this, the video on demand, when is this likely to?
There isn't a set time frame of when that's coming. It's something that we're looking at the group level. That is something that we're going to discuss. In fact, next week we have a big AfricaCom show, and we'll be discussing our video on demand product there. And obviously I encourage you to come down and cover that. And it'll depend a lot on what content's available in the different markets, what licensing is available in the different markets, and we obviously have to make sure that we comply with all the regulations that we need to in all the different markets. And that will also determine to a large extent when it gets rolled out in the different countries that we operate in.
But from an operator point of view, and from a Liquid point of view, as well as from ZOL point of view, what would you define as the ideal video entertainment service that you would provide? Because so far we've known that is MultiChoice provides set-top boxes, and we pay, we put a satellite dish outside, and then we watch a month. From you, what would you define as this is how it would work?
Well, the way we look at it is we're not trying to compete with MultiChoice. We don't even see ourselves as someone who's going to displace MultiChoice at all. What we want to do is give people a larger array of choices of the shows that they want to watch and when they want to watch them. And I don't think I'm giving away any secrets if you go and look in the world at how successful companies like Netflix have been, for example, where they give you for a flat subscription fee a massive amount of series to watch. And so those are the kind of things that we're looking at, more complementary to your MultiChoice type system.
Than competition.
Right.
Yeah, but when you look at it also, DSTV MultiChoice, you pay your, $89, $40, and you get all these 500 channels. Some of them, you have no interest in them. So what we're trying to do with ours is, you go in, you pay, you pay for what you want. So you say, I want to watch this, I want to watch, so you have a choice. So you're not just being, flooded with stuff that, the content that you don't want to watch. So you get a choice to pay for what you want to watch, which I think should be the way. Consumers should pay for what they want, not necessarily just being, say, oh, you've got this, you pay $100, you get this plus that, Yeah, so we want to make it, streamline it to what, so every home will have pick their own bouquet of channels they want to watch, they pay for those. You go to the next one, they like sports, they pay for sports. So that's how we think.
But you can't give sports. Can you give live sports and stuff?
No, when you make arrangement deals with,
We're negotiating all the time with content providers.
Yes.
To be honest with you, I think neither of us are directly related to that part of the business at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see what is announced. But obviously, there's a lot of different options that we have. And for different amounts of money, you get different content. And various people have rights already set up, and we've got to work within the framework that's there already.
Yeah. You mentioned Netflix, and one of the things they did was last year or the year before that, where they now make their own stuff like House of Cards and
They
stuff.
make it exactly, and they release it all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something that Liquid or ZOL would start investing in terms of who's creating content locally? Maybe dream big as a show of a career guidance show, and you say, well, we know you can't afford to produce that to do the quality we want, so we'll push 100,000 into your show in advance or something.
Yeah, look, it's something. It's an idea we've thrown around. I think we've got to make sure that we focus on. We can't do everything all at once.
Yeah,
we
can
focus
produce.
on the most important parts of the business first. Wouldn't surprise me if that was the path that we ended up going down in the future, but it's not on the roadmap at the moment.
It's not a priority at the moment.
No, but I think also you must realize we are not movie producers, or what we do. We provide a platform where you can have your stuff aired out. So I think if we find quality, programs or films or whatever, I think we'll be very much interested in putting them on our platform. Yes, yes.
I think the problem is that so far it's a few companies that are willing to push millions of dollars in advance. So, chicken and egg, there's no content because no one is able to produce quality content. They don't have money. And you want quality content, and you're happy to lap it up as soon as it's there. Who funds that content initially? Who makes the first risk? Yeah. ZOL Zimbabwe is now called ZOL Zimbabwe. That happened like 6 months ago, a year ago.
Yeah, it was about a year ago, I suppose.
Why?
We had always previously just been ZOL.
Yeah.
And if you remember, the ZOL originally came from Zimbabwe Online. It was briefly called Zimbabwe Online until Africa Online came along. And we probably, took our eye off the ball a little bit at that point in allowing Africa Online to start up with that name because it was very similar. Now, we made a conscious decision back then to try and drop the Zimbabwe Online part and became ZOL.
Yeah.
And in fact, by and large, we could known as ZOL. We never referred to ourselves as Zimbabwe Online and dropped that a long time ago. And we just felt that, we were branding ourselves so much with ZOL, and there was still that connotation that ZOL was Zimbabwe Online. We thought we move it to ZOL Zimbabwe, it's very clearly that ZOL doesn't stand for anything, it's simply ZOL. And Zimbabwe, because it's a Zimbabwean operation, we're a Zimbabwean company.
So this is nothing to do with wanting to have a ZOL Zambia, ZOL Malawi, ZOL...
I
can't roll it out.
I wouldn't say yes or no. I
So
think
how soon are those plans?
As a group, Liquid obviously operates at various levels, from wholesale carriers to enterprises to retail. And different countries will have different models. In Zimbabwe, it makes a lot of sense for us to have a retail brand and to have our enterprise wholesale brand. In some countries, it's going to make sense to just have one brand. In other countries, we'll have two brands as well. They have a retail operation as well, which may or may not be called ZOL. You'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. I would just like to come back more in terms of operation here in Zim, and just seeking your opinion here and your experience. What have been the hardest things, that you have had to overcome running an operation, running a company like ZOL here, that you think, if I were in Kenya, I wouldn't have to deal with that, or if I were not, I don't know, is it being landlocked? Is it
I think
regulations?
finding a successor for me has been my toughest challenge, but I think I've done very well.
Thank you.
So you think it's a great place to do business compared to Kenya?
To be honest with you, Lambakani, I'm not that familiar with doing business in Kenya. I've been there a couple of times, but I've just left the ZOL role, so I've had limited experience in Kenya. I think every country has pros and cons.
Yeah.
Being landlocked is obviously more of a challenge because you're not directly linked to the sea, but it's also an opportunity, particularly Zimbabwe, which is so geographically center to Southern Africa. It's a great opportunity for us to be the crossroads of internet in Southern Africa, and it's starting to get that way.
Yeah.
Liquid now has connections basically going all the way through Zimbabwe, redundant links, and that's an opportunity for us in Zimbabwe because all of our connectivity, even from the DRC, will come through Zimbabwe. And we are obviously expanding and adding countries all the time, and Zimbabwe is a very strategic location for that. So, yeah, it's always nice to have a sea, I think, not just because it's a nice place to go for the weekend, but because you have access to the undersea cables.
Yeah.
But that's given Liquid an opportunity to build those terrestrial links.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, every country's got its challenges.
Yeah.
I even think, if you compare to more developed nations, America, UK, there's also challenges there.
They have to
They're
deal
just
with
different.
a lot of, regulatory challenges as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always going to be challenges doing business.
Yeah.
They will just vary from market to market. And, I think what's important for someone like Liquid is that we are very experienced in the challenges that we come across in Africa, and we're getting good at solving them.
Talking about Zimbabwe being a great place to be, you both went to the US and came back at some point. Denny, starting with you, because it's still fresh for you. Why did you come back? Because people are talking about. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to come back, but people are talking about what they're calling a secondary migration, where guys come back in 2009 and they're like, yeah, back to do it, and then now those guys are tendering in their resignations and they're like.
Yeah.
But you come back in that time, you are doing the opposite. Why?
I spent a considerable time in the US. And I think, to be honest with you, I've always had a dream to be a CEO. And I realized I can be a CEO for McDonald's in America, but that's not my industry. The industry I'm in is very competitive in America. And being a foreigner, they always remind you, you're a foreigner. So you get to a certain stage where you hit your ceiling. So to fulfill my dream, I said, if I go to Zimbabwe, I think I can run a big operation. Because I was running budgets that are, 500 million. So I said, if I go to Zimbabwe, get an opportunity to be a CEO, that would be good. And I'm not lying to you. I always used to tell my kids, I'm going to Zimbabwe because I want to be a CEO. And it took, a year or so before I became a CEO, and they said, oh, Dad, you made it. So to them, I achieved my dream. So to them, it was a lesson that if you have a dream, pursue it. Don't give up. Don't let anyone dissuade you. Just pursue it, and it will happen. So I came basically, but besides that, I felt I'd gained enough experience in America to come and contribute to my country. I see a lot of stuff that's happening within ZOL since I took over that I look at and say, oh, okay, in America we don't do it like this. It would be nice if I could change this, and I see it already having an impact. So sometimes that's why they say when you go outside, come back and give back to your country. Yeah. Otherwise, if we all stay out there and everyone, this becomes a training ground. You get educated, you leave, and then you stop. Like right now, as it is, South Africa is being run by Zimbabweans. Most CEOs are in South Africa. I mean, it's okay for a while, but after a while, remember to come back to your country and contribute and make your country also at the same level.
No one thought you were crazy.
No, some people thought I was crazy, like, oh, why are you coming here? I'm like, dreams and aspirations are different. So I gotten to a point where, for me, it was self-actualization.
Yeah. David, you did something similar. Actually, for you, I heard that you had been offered a job at Google in Mountain View, and you said no. And at that time, wasn't that time when in Zim you could sense things are starting to get tricky, like end of the 1990s and beginning of 2000s?
It's funny. I actually found the other day, I came across my offer letter from Google, and I looked at the number of shares I was being given at the time, and I calculated what they're worth today.
Can you share with us? What they
How much did you?
What would they be worth?
Anyway. I remember consciously saying no to that, and I think it was two things. I think I always liked doing my own thing and running my own business, and I had ZOL, and I didn't really want to give that up. And I never really left Zimbabwe. I know I went to America. I spent 7 years more or less there. But I came back every few months. I never really left. And it's always, I've never really thought that I wouldn't live here. So, you know, it was kind of a process. I wasn't surprised I ended up back here because I never really saw myself as leaving, I suppose.
So
I kind of like it here.
Yeah.
You didn't think it was just, no, I'm going back home.
When I said no to Google?
Yeah, when you said no to Google.
No, I think that decision was actually far more based on the fact that I didn't want to be a small cog in a big wheel. I kind of like doing my own thing.
Yeah.
A big cog in a small wheel.
Yeah.
So I
same
kind of
thing,
like that,
yeah.
doing my own little thing, I suppose.
Same thing that David says. He went to America, but he never left Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
He's left ZOL, but he's never really left it.
Yeah, we should get him out of Zim then. Yeah, he said you never done business in Kenya. Maybe we get you an office in Kenya.
I like it here.
He loves it, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Anyone that has a question?
I want to get, I'm sure you guys are in the hot seat, but we're not going to ask when are you coming to my neighborhood, because you guys actually,
been through it already?
you started digging last
there you
week.
We have a
I
map
want to
on
get
our
three
website
questions.
too.
I'll get one at the back, and I'll get to you, sir, and then maybe somebody else.
Thank you very much. My question is directed to the CEO.
Denny.
Yeah, Denny. You were talking about the needs and the wants. And what we're looking at now, if you look at the research that came out from Zimbabwe's statistics in relation to the formal and informal business, the $89 is a bit on the high side, and majority of the guys that are contributing to the fiscus are informal. What are you doing to absorb that into your product ranges? Looking at 70 to 80% of our business people are now informal, the dollar a day business people. Because if you focus on the $89, I think there's a bit of a segregation there, and you won't be meeting your business targets. So what are you doing to cater for those people and come up with a product that is well priced, that can encourage business at those lower levels?
I think it's a good question, but you must also realize that, as you say, majority of business is from the informal sector. But guess what? That informal sector needs to be connected to in order to transact. They need to send money via EcoCash. So obviously they will need data on their phones. So, and that's where we come in. We provide ZOL spots. And also, right now, we are working on a strategy to distribute those little dongles that, you know, our marketing is going to be like $1 a day, you get all your data. So that at least those who can't afford, you know, if I just want to do something for one day, I can buy a dongle and load it up with $1 of data every time you want to use it. You know, if you're not going to use it like, you know, like people who are in the offices who consume more data. So that's one of our strategies that we are working on. We have the dongles, but that campaign is going to come very soon. But as much as we talk about the $89, also we must realize that people who are actually on the $89 package and so forth, they drive most of the business. The informal sector, yes, they use it, and everyone in the informal sector, from Kumusha, she's got a phone, right? She's got a phone that she can use. And also, as we said, when you sign up for $89, you also get a free phone where you can make free calls. That's another advantage. But as I alluded to earlier on, we're actually working on seeing what kind of packages that are cost effective that we can implement also in areas that are in the, you know, like Warren Park or those other areas, so that people can be connected. Because our objective is not to just provide internet for the few. is to have everyone. Everyone must, everyone who wants to connect should be connected. So that's our strike. It's a tough choice, but we are striking a balance. So we are doing our level best. Not good enough yet, but we'll get there. We'll get there. As you all can, bear with us that the economy is a little bit tough, and we are doing what we can at this present moment. But obviously, going forward, you see a lot of strategies that we'll be implementing to try and make internet accessible and affordable to everyone.
I mean, 6 months ago, even this time last year, we would have the exact same discussion. Instead of $89, you'd all be saying $149. $149 is just unaffordable, it's just too expensive. Well, now we're talking $89. The conversation hasn't changed, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but it's now $89. This time next year, we'll have the same conversation. You'll have to make exactly the same comments, but about a $49 package.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I'm not saying you're wrong,
Yeah.
but it's coming, and it's going to keep coming down. As we connect more people, as the prices of international capacity comes down, it's going to keep coming down.
And it's going to be $9. And
It's going to be
too
free.
expensive.
It's going to be free, and then you'll still be saying it's too expensive.
Due to time, I'm going to take a last question.
Okay, thank you very much. Mkhululi Ndlovu is my name. I'm the Vice Chairman for ICT Suppliers Association and West Chase Consultants, an IT company. There are two things that I want to talk about. The first thing is the issue of content, which Limbikani raised. Is a very important one, because if we can create our own content, that's going to be very good for us, because we can then do more with our content. So I think really we need to think of something is the platform to say, what is it that we can do to encourage local content, things like animation, our own stories and things like that. That is very, very crucial as we go forward. Second thing, I think we are looking for partnerships is industry players. What is it that we can do so that we can fit into the ecosystem? When we are talking cloud solutions, now we talk Amazon, AWS, we talk about other foreign-based platforms. What is ZOL doing that in terms of the platform for us to build enterprise solution and other solution, maybe apps, and we host them local? Because I think it's very, very crucial. If we can manage that, we can keep the money here in Zim, and we can encourage a lot of entrepreneurship. But finally, I want to congratulate you for the ZOL Startup Challenge. But I think I was saying to Limbikani, we need to ensure that the success stories we see today, they will be successful 2-3 years from now. Thank you very much.
Let me just say quickly, on the content, yes, we're open to hosting the content. Right now, our focus is not on creating the content. I think there's enough talented people who can create the content, but we will certainly host it and deliver it, in most cases for free, because it's better for us to have the content sitting in Zim than outside of Zim. On the cloud services and the hosting, yes. In fact, one of the reasons that I'm no longer CEO is because my new role in the group is to bring things like cloud services to all of the opcos that we're operating in. Keeping the money inside Zimbabwe is very important. It did trigger in my mind one thing that I think is of concern to the whole industry right now, and that is this new 5% excise duty that has been added not just to airtime, it's been added to every single communication service. Therefore, all of your apps, all of the cloud services are all going to have 5% added onto them. I have no doubt that's the beginning. Soon it'll be 10% and then 15%. It's going to become cheaper to transact outside of Zimbabwe than in Zimbabwe if we don't keep a very close eye on the kind of taxes and charges that are being added on to the communication sector. This is on top of the 2.5% that already goes to Potras, on top of the 15% VAT. It means when you add it all up, very nearly 25%, 25 cents of every dollar is going out in taxes in an industry that really, I think, needs support to actually do things cheaper so we can increase the penetration in the country.
And to add to what Dave says is also when it comes to content, I'll give you a typical example. We had a Diwali function about 3 weeks ago, and we offered to broadcast it live on our platform. Okay, it very nice. Everyone in India, everywhere, they watched it. HD quality, everything. There was the Zima Awards a week later. Right? Said, oh, come in. We said, okay, we set up everything, links, everything. My guys spent almost the whole day, 2 days at HICC. Come to say, okay, we're going to broadcast this live on the internet. Guess what ZB says? No, you can't. You can't. If you're going to broadcast it live on internet, you must have our logo and blah, blah on it and so forth. We said, okay, fine, we'll do it, right? They were using their ZBC cameras, right? Then the time came to broadcast live. The picture was terrible. We were live for 30 minutes, and then we said, no, cut it out. We can't be associated with such poor quality. So we cut it out. But the difference is there's so much of government interference in the communication sector to a point that you can't broadcast anything. So if you come up with content and say, can you guys broadcast this for us? We can do it. But the restrictions are coming from government. Right now, they've put in a 5% excise tax. What all it's going to do is going to prohibit, hinder the growth of our communication sector. So sometimes, we need to lobby. We need to lobby the government to say, no, let's do this. Like we're talking about IPTV. We want to have TV. We should have said ZOL Fibronics is internet, TV, and phone. But we can't say it. Why? Because it needs to be licensed by government, because they think these guys are taking secrets to... It's an enigma to them, internet. Most of them don't understand, They just think, we are here to do some funny secrets, whatever. So I think education is also very important, Yeah.
Thank you very much, Denny. Thank you very much. Maybe as a parting shot, a word of advice to the startups from both of you.
Startups?
Why we're here?
So I just say, there are some people who say, it can't be done, it can't be done. So I'm saying to those who say, whatever came up here, including the judges who said it can't be done, stop interrupting those who are already doing it. Yeah.
I can't add more. Keep going. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. It was a lovely discussion. That will be all from us.